A very warm welcome back to the Football Martin channel. I promised you a preview on Saints Spurs. Takes place this Sunday, 7 p.m. kickoff. Songs or praise, or go and watch Saints and Spurs. Well, I know where I'm going to be this Sunday. I'm going to get the inside look on Tottenham Hotspur in today's show. I'm going to be joined by Flav from The Fighting Cock. He has a podcast all around Tottenham Hotspur. He's a content creator, and I like to get other content creators on my channel because that's the best way to get the best insight into your opposition. And that's what I'm doing today with Flav. He is going to give us the lowdown on Spurs. How's the mood within their fan base? Who's fit? Who's not? And how does he think it's going to unravel this weekend against Southampton at St Mary's? But before we get into today's show, please do smash a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, and please share it with a Southampton fan or a Tottenham fan, because this is a really good show and it's one not to be missed. Thank you very much for joining me today, Flav. A big game this weekend for both managers. It almost feels a little bit like El Sacchio.
Yeah, not as El Sacchio as I thought Wolves and Palace was going to be. Was it Wolves and Palace who played at the weekend? Wolves and... Who was it? The Wolves beat... West Ham Wolves. Sorry, Lopetegui.
Yeah,
that
West Ham
Wolves.
Wolves.
Start, is it?
It's Wolves Ipswich this weekend as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's another one. I don't think Ange Postecoglou's job is in jeopardy yet. The mitigating circumstances at Tottenham mean that obviously, while he has a responsibility to ensure that we get as many points as possible, the likelihood is that we're going to lose more games than we win in the next 6 weeks because we've legitimately got 9 players out that could all start for Spurs. And on the bench against Rangers last night, as we recorded, we had 4 players on there that had played significant first-team minutes. One of those was Lucas Bogle, who was like an 18-year-old novice. The rest were youth academy products that had never played for Tottenham, barring Will Lancashire. So it's a roundabout way of saying that Ange Postecoglou, there's reasons for why things are going on the way they are. They're exacerbated by the way Postecoglou plays because we're way too open. We don't have the players like Van der Ven and Romero to cover for it. So I don't think it's El Sacchio. What are you going to do with Russell Martin, though? Because, do you stick with him? What's your opinion on him?
Oh, it's a really good question because our fan base is pretty broken again. He did a really good job last year to galvanise the football club. There was a mess getting relegated from the Premier League last time round. He brought a new philosophy, a new style of football, and he reunited the fan base. He put us on a 25-game unbeaten run. We had a really good season. We nearly missed out on promotion, but we got it over the line with the playoffs. We had that really good run, and it put us well in the playoffs. We went and beat Leeds, which many people didn't think we would. On the day, it looked like it was a tactical masterclass, but he's come out yesterday in his press conference and said, well, nothing changed, just the circumstances and an emotion took over. So the players took over. The players dug in.
This is the playoff final. I watched this.
Yeah,
and it didn't.
Yeah.
It was Southampton were a little bit more, you would say, pragmatic.
Yeah,
they defended their lead.
Yeah, which is unlike a Southampton side to do that under Russell Martin. And he said that nothing changed in that game, but he was praised for it. And he said it was all about emotion. Well, this season you come into the Premier League and he wants to play the same style of football. The biggest issue is he probably doesn't have the personnel to do what he requires. Certainly in the final third, he doesn't have the personnel that's going to score enough goals and suit his style. They've bought players that don't fit him, in my opinion. Some of the personnel they brought in, Maxwell Cornet, doesn't suit Russell Martin's style. Ben Brereton Diaz doesn't suit Russell Martin's style. So the recruitment hasn't been great, but he's continued to play the same way and he's dug in. And he's really nailed down his system and in his style, and he's not going to deviate from what he's doing, and that's infuriating fans because of the results and the statistics all around us. We've only got 5 points, 14 games. We're staring down the barrel of relegation yet again. So the fans are furious.
Yeah, no, I can understand it. The issue you've got there with him is he has a way of playing that he won't deviate from. That's his style, and he's going to carry that on. If he sees himself as a career manager, it's important to him that he maintains his principles and the way he plays football, because
Yeah.
his profile will be attractive to certain football clubs in the same way as Maresca's was to Chelsea. Martin's might be to someone else. So it's not in his best interest to change the style, even if Southampton get relegated. Now, that's not the way football has run in the past, right? You bring in players, you adapt, and the be-all and end-all is the 3 points. Can you get 3 points? Can you keep Southampton in the Premier League? That's your job. Whereas almost like some of these managers are auditioning for jobs they don't have yet. Like the company going to Bayern Munich and Maresca going to Chelsea is good for them, amazing storyline for them. But to get a team relegated and then get one of the biggest jobs in Europe, like that company did, shows you the shift in how managers are being recruited now and tapped up. And they know, Bayern Munich know that with their players, that company system likely would work. Maresca's system would likely work at Chelsea. Russell Martin probably going, well, I'm not going to change. In his head, he wouldn't say this outwardly. I'm not going to change because I'm going to get an opportunity elsewhere. But that doesn't help Southampton fans, and it doesn't help Tottenham's fans right now when we go to Ibrox and get battered by a Scottish team that's third in the league.
He spoke yesterday, actually, Martin, in a press conference about Spurs and Postecoglou, and they were talking about style and plan A and plan B. And Russell Martin's quotes on Ange Postecoglou were as follows. He said, "When I see him in the media, I see a man with conviction and someone who does not compromise on his values, and I admire him a lot. It's got him to managing in the Champions League." And I think that sums up everything that you've just said. Like, spot on.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the excerpt. It's about 2 minutes long, and he was just waxing lyrical about Ange Postecoglou.
Because he was, but too much.
And I love him. I love him so much. But the thing is it plays into his narrative. It plays into what he's doing there at Southampton, Russell Martin. And everybody, myself included, looking at it and going, you cannot do that. You cannot do that with the level of individual player and technical ability compared to the standard in the Premier League. It's so unforgiving. You saw it at Burnley. And Spurs has been unforgiving to Tottenham. And Tottenham, you would argue, have an expensively compiled team full of players that should be able to play that. But the minute those better players are taken out of that team, it does feel a lot more vulnerable than it would be otherwise. That's compounded at Southampton and Burnley because, you're coming up from the Championship. You haven't had several seasons of Premier League money to start to really bolster your squad. You're having to manage the wage bill because you've come down and gone back up. But then what do you do in the summer? Do you sack Martin after that great season? You know he is. You know what he's going to do. Do you fire him because of that?
Yeah, I thought he would change a little bit this year. I thought he'd compromise a little bit more than he has done. He hasn't at all. I think he made a couple of good signings. Like Aaron Ramsdale's been a really good signing. He's a top goalkeeper. He's an England international. Yeah. They've still got Kyle Walker-Peters, an England right back. Taylor Harwood-Bellis, an England under-21 international, made his England debut not many weeks ago, playing at centre back. Japanese right back international, very, very good. Flynn Downs maybe not stepped up, but he's still got some. I still think he's got players that are good squad players in the Premier League. He's got a few that are not, but he cannot get the best out of them at this moment in time. And they're fine when they've got the ball, but when they don't have the ball, they really, really struggle to keep any shape because they've gone through the Championship having loads of the ball, having all the possession, and all of a sudden you've taken that away from me and you've got to defend against sides, and it becomes really difficult, doesn't it? And certainly any team that puts a press on Southampton, they get undone. I'm intrigued to know how Spurs will approach it on Sunday. Will they press Southampton, Flav?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah, yes. So all we do is press. And it's also our greatest weapon, but also our Achilles heel.
Yeah.
Because if you can get through that press, what happens? What you're likely to see, right, is the press will be instigated. Depends what the scenario is. If it's a goalkeeper, then they'll press the defenders and try and the high line will step up. If the ball, they will encourage the ball to be passed out to a fullback. So say it goes to who plays right back. Is it Bree?
Yeah, be Kyle Walker-Peters or potentially Yuki Sugawara.
Okay, so it's Cole Walker-Peters because that's one I know I'm more familiar with, right?
Yeah.
If you got Cole Walker-Peters and the ball goes out to him, what you'll see is a press that's instigated by Solanke. Son will move up. Sarr or Basuna will close in behind them, and then Brennan Johnson will come across. The defence will also, so as a doggy joins that press, the defence moves across to close the pitch down, make it very small. But it always leaves so much space on the other side, and it alternates depending on which side of the press is happening. So where we've been undone, and when you don't have Romero and Van der Ven to clean up if people do get through the press, it's something that can be got out at Tottenham. But if you're saying you're vulnerable to the press,
very.
That's something that will feed directly into Tottenham hands. It's before the injuries, we had I think second best pressing statistics in Europe, but it hasn't been working recently. The players look very, very tired. The same 11, 13, 14 are being rotated and playing significant minutes because we just don't have anybody else. We've literally got 14 first-team players, and one of those include 18-year-old Burville, who's nowhere near, and Archie Gray, who are not really ready for Premier League football. So effectively, we have 12 players that can play at a level in the Premier League going into this game.
Yeah. If there's ever a time for Southampton to play Spurs, it would be now. Saints have had a few injury concerns. A few are coming back from injury this weekend. Jan Bednarek, the centre back, he's back and available. Aaron Ramsdale's not quite ready, but Alex McCarthy, the number 2, is. So he will come in for the 4th choice goalkeeper, Joe Lumley, I think. Then in midfield, Adam Lallana's available, but he's 36. He don't have the legs to play 90 minutes. He's constantly getting injured. I find it hard to see where Saints hurt Spurs, and how the only way to hurt Spurs is to be able to break the press and get up the field quickly. And that is one thing we struggled to do in some games this season, is to find a way to get Dibbling on the ball, because Dibbling's Southampton's brightest spark, really.
Yeah, good player.
He's the one that can really get things going. He's really fearless. He doesn't have anywhere near enough assists, and he doesn't have anywhere. He has 1 goal. He needs to do more, but he's doing well. He's only 18, but a lot of our hopes rest on a young man, which is amazing, really. Adam Armstrong's struggling to step up to the Premier League. We all knew that. Cam Archer's good if he can. He's the one that I would look at the weekend and think, well, his pace. If we can get him the ball quick enough and get him one-on-ones and get him in space, he's good. He's really good.
Yeah. You will get opportunities. I promise you. Everyone gets opportunities at Spurs. It's just the way it is. We're knackered, mate. Everything you think about Southampton will be proved probably wrong at the moment with the way we're playing. Just so you know, Vicario, first choice keeper, out. Richarlison would have played many, many minutes out. Ben Davies out. Bentancur suspended. Basuma suspended. Wilson Odegaard out. Romero out and Van der Ven out. Legitimately, we could make up a very good first 11 with another player added to that. We've got no midfield. Basuma and Bentancur, but both suspended. So when I said we had 12, we've actually got 11. We've got 11 first-team players that we can play.
Yeah, so there's never a better time to play you. That's for sure.
No, you'll get opportunities, and it's a tough. No, like, people are actually thinking that we're going to go to Southampton and lose. Some Spurs fans. So
yeah,
I'm always hopeful, but that performance against Rangers yesterday was so poor that I
didn't see it. How poor was it?
Very, very. They were very good. You don't expect it necessarily, and Ibrox, added to Fraser Forster, used to be Celtic, and obviously Postecoglou managed Celtic. It was a very sort of loud and atmospheric stadium, and they really were at it, and they deserved to win the game, but it was poor, man. Very, very poor. And like if Rangers, with the standard that their players can pull Spurs apart, then Southampton are going to have an opportunity.
Yeah, and all the Southampton players are playing for the manager. There's one thing about it, Flav. They are playing for him. Though they're struggling, they're playing for the manager. So, we'll have to have a go at Spurs.
If you swapped Russell Martin with Postecoglou and Postecoglou with Russell Martin, the clubs would probably be in a similar situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree.
Similar way of playing. Actually, I sent some questions to see if any on our patrons wanted to ask you questions about Southampton. And it wasn't a question. It's just going to tell you. This is a guy called Yids 79. He's telling you this is what's going to happen. Don't worry if you go 2-0 down. We'll always concede. Make sure someone is making runs about a doggy. He never picks them up. Make sure someone runs at the back post behind Porro. He won't notice. Keep moving around Basuma. He won't track you. Nudge Son and Johnson off the ball. They're weak. Try to shoot high against the keeper. He can't jump because of his massive hands. 7, wind Madison up. He can't take it. 8, wind a doggy up. 9, force loads of corners. 10, repeat the before points. That's the mood at Spurs at the moment, mate.
It's low, isn't it? Yeah, our fan base is low, but your fan base feels just as low as ours at this moment in time.
Toxic.
Fraser Forster's come in for you guys, hasn't he? Someone we know very, very well down here. The last really good memory I have of Fraser Forster in a Southampton shirt was actually against Arsenal, where he put in an incredible display at St Mary's to get us a victory against Arsenal. And I think it maybe got you a Champions League place that year. I can't remember, but it did Spurs a massive favour. I remember on the day. How's he been doing, Fraser Forster?
Fantastic. Like, really well.
He's a good goalie.
Yeah, he's a really good goalkeeper. And the question marks were about whether or not he can play football. You know, one of Vicario's many attributes are his ability to play football. At times, he's almost like an outfield player. He's that good and comfortable with the ball. Fraser Forster is old school, right? He's an old school goalkeeper.
Yeah.
That's functions in the way that old school goalkeepers do. He makes himself big. He's commanding in the box, and he likes to pump it as long as possible. And that's not. He won't be allowed to do that at Tottenham. I'm sure he wouldn't have been able to do that with Russell Martin either. But the attributes, his general attributes, are fantastic, and he's kept us in the games that he's played. He's been our best player for a month.
He's a good goalie.
Yeah, he's really good, and the right attitude, and he spent so long at Southampton and at Celtic as well. He sort of bounced around the two clubs for a bit, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And he had a period of time here.
Consistently, you're like number one.
No, he had periods of time where he come in and he picked up injuries, and he had long periods of time out. He had one pretty nasty injury quite early into his Southampton career, and it kept him out for pretty much over a year, maybe a bit longer. And I reckon he really suffered during that period of time. His mental health, it was a tough time, and then he found it really hard to establish himself back in the team. We changed managers. Ralph Hasenhüttl was at Southampton. He was there for 5 years in the end, Hasenhüttl. But once he got back in, it was always fighting with Alex McCarthy for the number one spot. And and at the very end of his Southampton career, the manager Hasenhüttl had to make the decision between one of the goalkeepers to give a contract to, and they were both fighting it out. This is before he signs for Spurs. They're fighting it out, and Ralph Hasenhüttl will give it to Alex McCarthy. And I can't still quite believe that now, because for me, Fraser Forster was unbelievable in his final season at Southampton. And we were really struggling under Hasenhüttl the year before we went down. And he probably single-handedly kept us in the division with some of his performances. And the one against Arsenal really stood out for me. But I was gutted to lose him. He would have been a massive asset in that season we got relegated. And we ended up with a young 19-year-old in Gavin Bazunu, who was never ready for the Premier League. He come from our arch rivals, Portsmouth, playing in League One. And then before he knows it, he's in the Premier League with a side that had been stripped of all their senior pros, replaced with a bunch of teenagers from Man City. There was no wonder we got relegated that season because the recruitment was so bad.
He's got a good reputation. He's like well thought of, Bazunu, though, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is. I think the last couple of years at Southampton, he had a really tough time. I think his first year in the Premier League was really tough. He made a lot of mistakes. And in the Championship last year, he had moments where we just had some absolute howlers. He's got a nasty injury at the moment. He will go out on loan in January if he's fit. He snapped his Achilles tendon, I believe. So he's been out for a period of time, and I think he needs to go and play football now. We've got Aaron Ramsdale, which we won't have for a long period of time. He's got a relegation release clause, so he'll be with us to the end of the season until we get relegated. But he's been brilliant. He's been. I feel sorry for him.
Third club he'll be relegated with.
Yeah. And you definitely get relegated with this team. We'd never stay up from the position we're in.
Really, is it a foregone conclusion?
For me, yeah, 100%. Because no team's ever survived from this position. We're already 8 points adrift. We've got Tottenham at the weekend. We go to Fulham next weekend to Craven Cottage, and then we welcome West Ham on Boxing Day. Then we head to Crystal Palace between Boxing Day and New Year. So there's games coming up when we need to start picking up points, but I find it really hard to see where we're going to score anywhere near enough goals. We've 10 individual errors that have led to goals. It's more than any other team in the division. It took Brentford the whole of last season to have 10 individual errors leading to goals. The proof is in all the statistics that we continue to see. It's one of the worst starts to a Premier League season by any team. I'd say we're being pretty humiliated at the moment. So I just, for me, don't beat Derby's record, because they all said, Flav, it would never be beaten, Derby's record. But
well, how many you got?
We got 5. We've got 5 points on the board. Yeah, and
11.
At this stage, of the season, when Derby picked up that record low, they already have more points than Southampton do right now, which is scary.
The
statistics are terrible. Yeah.
That is bad. If I remember rightly, I was speaking to, there's a guy called Luke Pingu, who's a big Derby fan. He's on YouTube. He does his quizzes and stuff. And I was asking him, and he said that what happened in that season, and he said it was Paul Jewell's style, which wasn't sustainable in the Premier League. So there you go. Yeah,
a familiar pattern is emerging. I've enjoyed watching Spurs. I've got to say, when I've seen you guys play, some of the football you play, I think is outstanding, and there's entertainment. If you put the TV on and Spurs are on, you want to watch it because you know there's goals. You know the performance at Man City was just like sublime. They were brilliant that day, weren't they? Absolutely superb. Yeah. And then you play the game at the weekend against Chelsea, and just couldn't.
Mate, we got bad in the second half, didn't we? We got another question for you here. Ernest Yotsky, he says, how excited is your pod mate to have Dr. Tottenham come to visit? We're an equal opportunity opponent for all those in the relegation zone, so congratulate him on the victory.
He's not too positive. To be fair, we're very saintly a lot of the time. You know, when teams are struggling, we usually give results. We went to Wolverhampton Wanderers to Molineux early on in the season. Well, not that many weeks ago. They'd not won a game all season. They'd not kept a clean sheet in 22 Premier League games back into last season. They kept a clean sheet and they beat us. And that's the sort of thing. That's the sort of thing we go and do.
I think there's some distinct parallels between Tottenham and Southampton this season. Not least the song which you stole off us.
Who stole the song though? Did you steal it or did we
steal it?
Yeah, we stole it.
No, we definitely stole it.
You definitely stole it.
Yeah, we definitely stole it.
Yeah. Will they sing it? They will sing it when they come to St Mary's the weekend. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, mate. I've been to Southampton about 5 times, and I've never seen us win there. I've seen us draw twice. I went to the 3-3 when Conte exploded. I think that you were trying. I think did you go down that season? You did, didn't you?
We went down that season. Yeah, we were giving it hell of a shot at that stage, and it was a really good game. 3-3, wasn't it? And
Great game, if you're
brilliant game if you're neutral.
But as ever, like I understand why neutrals want to watch Spurs because it is mayhem. But as a Spurs fan, it's very stressful. But the mood at St Mary's then was so your fans were properly on it. They had a bunch of kids down the side giving us grief the entire fucking game. Sorry, I can't swear. The entire game. But because where I am, Southampton's only down the road, really. So it's like an hour in the car. So
they've moved the away fans this year. So if any Spurs fans are coming to the game this weekend, it's the other end of the stadium. So they've gone to the south end of the stadium, but they've kind of been put in the corner a bit like if you go to the KP at Leicester, they're in the corner. So they've done that because the amount of times you've had fans behind that goal where you were last season, the away fans, they just roar their teams on. And certainly if they're shooting towards that goal, and it was a bit of a, it was give it an away team a bit of an advantage, and that's the last thing you want to do as a home team.
Completely. Are you keeping an eye on Portsmouth?
Yeah, it'd be interesting because there could be a derby, couldn't there? You know, I think they'll stay up. A lot of their fans think they don't have enough firepower to stay up. But look, that Fratton Park will be worth points between Christmas and the end of the season because it was always going to be because it's a tough place to go and play football. It's an old school ground, isn't it? And they will dig out some results, and there is
Old
some
school.
really
I'm
poor.
going to laugh at you. It's like literally like from a different time warp.
As old as it gets.
One of the worst places I've ever been to watch play football.
I've never watched the game there, but I'd love to see a derby. I would love to see a derby again. I think we're all ready for a derby. It's been a long time.
When's the last time you played?
Danny Ings, but in the league, it would probably be when Harry Redknapp was the manager. Like,
Wow.
No, it was a long time ago. Yeah, Harry Redknapp would have. It was probably when he went from us to them. But he went from them to us, then us to them. You know,
What do you make of him?
I've read that.
Is he just hated by both sets of fans?
He's hated by Southampton fans. He's not by Portsmouth fans because
they won the
he come to us, relegated us. It was the first time we'd ever been relegated from the Premier League at that time. Relegates us, spends a few months moping around in the Championship. He then ends up back at Portsmouth and leads them to FA Cup glory. So the Saints fans absolutely hate him.
Yeah, I can understand that. How do you see the game going then? Do you think, despite Spurs having all the issues that I've laid out quite clearly, that we will still win?
Yeah, I think Spurs will win it. Yeah, I do think they'll win it. I think your press will cause us a problem. Slanky's fit, is he? He's available?
Yeah.
Slanky will cause the Southampton centre-backs endless problems. Son's one of my favourite players in the league over the last 3-4 years. I think he's a wonderful player. There's guaranteed that he'll score at the weekend. My daughter absolutely adores him. She's a Saints fan, but she loves him.
He's a good egg.
He's a good egg, good human. She follows him on his social media, and I think you'll beat us, and I think it will be the end of Russell Martin. I do. I think a defeat against a depleted Spurs side. I think he's lost the fan base here a bit already. Some of his press conference remarks are not helping. Everybody's calling for David Moyes, which is,
it's like the polar opposite.
Polar opposite, yeah.
What does David Moyes keep you up? That's the thing is like at some stage, Southampton owners need to take control of this situation because you're not staying up the way you're playing. Like you said, the points tally is an issue. Does David Moyes keep Southampton up?
It's a big job, isn't it? It'd be the greatest escape of all time if someone come in and did it.
You'll have a better chance, I think. No, that's not much of a statement, but this is how Tottenham will set up. We'll have Forster in goal. He should play Jed Spence because he's fresh, but he won't. He'll play Pedro Porro. It'll be Dragusin and Archie Gray in defence, probably, and then a doggy on the left. And then in midfield, he'll probably play Bergvall. Basuma's suspended. Bergvall, Sarr, and Kulusevski, or Madison, Kulusevski, and Sarr. And then the front line will be Johnson, Son, and Solanke. I think this is about who can score the most goals.
Yeah, it will be. I think it will be. Saints have been playing a back five. I don't think they can afford to play a back five against Spurs. I think if you're going to try and win the game, you need to have more in midfield and sort of a little bit more attacking intent, really. Harwood Bellis, a partner, Bednarek at the back, I would think. I reckon Kyle Walker-Peters is a revert back to right back, and Ryan Manning's been playing at left back, never a Premier League player. Then the midfield, a midfielder to look out for is Mateus Fernandes. He's a really good young midfielder. I think he'll stay playing in the Premier League. If we get relegated, someone will come in for him. He's a good player. He'll play in midfield. Downs will play in there, ex-West Ham player. He plays in the 6. Mateus Fernandes plays more in the 8. Russell Martin always plays with 2 8s at times. Cam Archer will play up top, and then it's just who plays wide, really. I'd imagine that Adam Armstrong will play one side. He's been in and out the side, but he'd probably be playing this one. He's been captain the side as well, so I'd expect to see him in. And I think it's a really tough game for us, really tough.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I would say I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not at all. I'm not looking forward to watching Spurs play at all.
Sunday at 7:00 as well. You could be songs of praise time, really, isn't it? It's songs of praise or Saints Spurs.
Are you going down there?
Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be there. I've been to every game bar 2 this season. That's all I've missed, and not had loads to cheer about.
What were those 2 you missed? Did you win those ones or you lose them?
No, we lost them. Yeah, Brentford away. I missed that because my best friend got married that day. 3 individual errors cost us the game that day. They're good. They're a good side, Brentford. Really, really good.
Home, certainly home. Yeah.
Their front 3 causes all sorts of problems. Seeing that they lost Tony to do what they're doing is really, really, really impressive. And Thomas Frank, I watched him on High Performance. Unbelievable. He was brilliant. He was such a good manager. I really like him. And the other game was Villa at the weekend because of the storm. I couldn't get there just through transport, and it was the conditions were horrific. I went back to Isle of Wight to home and couldn't get back off, so I was stuck. So
is that where you live, Isle of Wight?
Yeah, I live on the Isle of Wight. So yeah, it was I couldn't get over. So yeah, missed Villa at the weekend, and we didn't have a shot on target against Villa. A Villa side that were really off it on the day. They weren't at it at all. He rested a few. John Duran scores the goal. He's top striker, isn't he?
Yeah.
Rested Watkins, rested a few faces, and they're quite comfortable, really. Southampton never looked like getting anything there.
Indeed.
Well, there you have it. That was Flav from the Fighting Cock here on the Football Martin channel. A massive shout out to Flav for coming on this weekend. I really, really appreciate his time. It's great to get an inside scoop on all things Tottenham Hotspur ahead of this one. They're not feeling so confident about this one. We don't feel confident, but if there's ever a time to play Spurs, it's now. It's a busy weekend here on the Football Martin channel. I'll be down at St Mary's on Sunday. The Dow Bar is opening. I will be there for that exclusive opening. I've been invited by the football club, so I will be there in and around that. And then I'm going to be around the ground creating some fan cam ahead of the game. There'll be a match day vlog that will go out on Sunday evening, maybe Monday morning. And there'll be all your fan reaction afterwards as well across all my platforms. So make sure you do go check those out. Subscribe to the channel here on YouTube. Smash a like on the video. And best of all, share it with a friend as well. And if you fancy leaving a comment, it would mean the world.